So I think it's safe to say that the DBD community at the moment is very upset, and honestly it's pretty justifiable. The new killer, the Krasu, has taken the crown for Survivor's most hated killer to go against. I'm sorry, Ken Kaneki. But why is the brand new killer not being received well? I actually think there's a lot of different reasons as to why everyone kind of hates this killer at the moment. But I would say the first one is the undeniable strength the killer possesses. When you think of a strong killer, you're probably thinking of killers like Nurse, Blight, and the Ghoul. However, this killer decided to take a slice of the pie from a lot of different killers. And in return, you have a killer with the means to stop survivors from healing via the leech infection, also having insanely fast chases thanks to vaulting windows and pallets, and being able to cross the map before you can even have the chance to disconnect. I mean, this killer has it all. So in summary, you've released a really strong killer. That's all well and good. Normally you wait a couple weeks or a month and the killer gets tuned down a bit, but this is what brings me to my next point. DBD at the moment has kind of had a terrible track record in recent months. Off the back foot of the disastrous Walking Dead patch, I'm sure we all remember that live stream. But you also have the highly controversial anti-slug and anti-tunnel patch that was in the PTB, and it kind of caused a mass hysteria. But here's where the problem is. They were meant to bring the anti-slug and anti-tunnel changes into the live with the Krasu. But because they didn't, they actually didn't even revert some of the Krasu's more powerful features. And bravely, Behavior decided to rework one of the only anti-tunnel perks that are actually useful. So now you've got a killer that can turbo tunnel at 5 gens and survivors can't even do anything about it. That's already enough to be upset about. And now you can start to understand the frustration of many DBD players. As an example, imagine you have a roommate and they tell you that they're gonna clean up the kitchen and they're gonna, they'll promise they'll clean everything up. And you go to work and you come home and it turns out there's now even more of a mess in the kitchen and they didn't do anything about it. But I wouldn't put the entire blame on the development team here. Even though there's a lot to criticize them about, I still think that there's an issue of the actual player base itself. Now, as of late, I have seen the most piss-poor attitude of people playing this game, and I'm going to tell a little story time here. During the release of the Krasu, I didn't actually get to play on opening launch day because of work, and also I just like to play variety in my downtime. But I did manage to play a couple games on the weekend of the launch week. During the Saturday and Sunday I was playing, I was constantly having survivors throwing tantrums and saying some pretty awful stuff in the endgame chat. And me being the nosy Nancy, I looked at their hours, of course, and I noticed that there was a trend of survivors with more hours being loudest. And I haven't got the exact quote from this one person, but I remember them saying something along the lines of, "You shouldn't be playing this killer because it ruins the fun of the game." Now, you've probably heard something like that very similar, in previous DBD games and whatnot. I've certainly had it when I've played like a game of Blight. But I'll be honest, this killer literally came out like 3 days ago, like from when I played. And I paid money. Not to sound entitled or anything, but I paid for this killer so that I could play them in the video game so I can enjoy my time. I'm also under the assumption that a small majority of players would just love it if they kept versing the same killers over and over again, and no new killers are allowed to be released and no new perks, and the game just stays stale, and they would love it. Not to say that that's the good ending or anything, but looking at the Steam charts here a little bit, the total player count has actually dropped a fair amount in these past couple of weeks. Now granted, it might be from players who are sick and tired of versing the Krasu, but I think it's also kind of a concoction of problems that DBD has been having throughout these past couple months, and missed promises. And I think one of the things that stings the most is when you have a very controversial event happening. I remember this on forgive me, Twitter, after the disastrous Walking Dead livestream with Otts and Chandler Riggs. They had the audacity to post about a new cosmetic collection coming out. I remember the timing on that could not have been more perfect and so awkwardly timed. I know that a lot of people are mad about that, but yeah, it's stuff like that. It's just read the room a little bit, And I know I'm kicking a dead horse a little bit here, but also the fact that none of those developers in the live stream had a live copy or version of Dead by Daylight installed on their computers to go in and fix the problem. It's kind of very concerning when the devs don't really playtest their game properly. I'm sure you guys all remember Jim, the Beam. And honestly, I don't know what's worse. If they playtested the game and saw Jim was in the game and just left him in there, or they didn't even playtest their game and then they just discovered he was in there. I don't even know what's worse. But anyway, I digress. Now, without me being too more negative throughout the rest of this little talk here, I wanted to suggest some changes, and I'm no balancing expert by any means, but there's some things that I feel like should definitely happen in order to make the Krasu more forgiving to play against. And the first change I would make is to make the infection disappear when you are hooked. It is so ridiculously easy to turbo tunnel someone out as the Krasu when you hook them with like infection. It is so easy. And now the next change I would do is actually give more of a cooldown to the leech projectile attack, her like M2 attack while she's in human form. I give her like more of like an unknown style cooldown, because that thing is so easily spammable, and it's even like you can even see that it's got auto aim on the splash zone. In my time playing as a survivor against the Krasu, I found that denying the initial infection was actually the better strategy to verse the Krasu. If you don't get infected, then she can't really use her power on you. And it's really good when you can identify tiles that deny either the splash or even tiles with a window and a pallet, so you can do window pallet like vault continuously. But apart from that, I do think that it's okay for a killer to be strong in chase and have good map traversal. I think that outplaying some of those killers can be like some of the most fun you can have in DBD. But the problem is there is actually like zero counterplay for the Krasu at the moment. Okay, well maybe zero is a bit of an exaggeration, but you know, for solo survivor. If you think of killers like Blight and Nurse, they are strong killers, but you can still have a window of counterplay against them. I mean, you just gotta shrink the gap, just a little bit. Fine tune, I think she'll be okay, but at the moment she is super duper oppressive. As I was recording this, the latest patch actually just came out with some nerfs for the Krasu. Not like extremely big nerfs or anything like that, but you know, slight like a decrease in vault speed. Honestly, I don't think it's going to do much. Maybe a little bit, but I still think that there's some major tweaking that needs to happen. I did also see that next week there is going to be some more changes coming through, like another big bug fix patch coming through, which is going to be nice. I'd like to see what they're going to fix and also what new changes they're going to put on for the Krasu. But anyways, if you stuck around to the end, thank you. And if you enjoyed my little rant and want to see more of my content, make sure to click this video up here. But before you do that, make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you guys in the fog.